Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Arlene Diamco, the multidimensional MD, here with my friend Maxine Taylor, who is America's first licensed astrologer. And I'm so happy to have her here. If you don't know, my mission is to help bring the intuitive aspects of health back to medicine in practical and tangible ways so that you can access deeper healing and experience more peace, love, and joy in your everyday life. And so we have a different kind of episode here today because you might be wondering, what does astrology have to do about health? And it is so much because it really can help us understand more about ourselves. And the more we understand about ourselves and our inner workings, the more we can access that inner light within us, the stars within us that we are made out of. And so before we get started, I want to properly introduce Maxine because she has over 50 years of experience teaching astrology. She is an internationally renowned astrologer, and she has been involved in changing the law and making history. So in 1969, Maxine decided to pursue astrology as a career, but it was considered fortune telling in Georgia. So since astrology is not fortune telling, she notes, I wanted to distinguish it legally and give it dignity. So I met with the Cobb County commissioners who granted me the first license to practice astrology in the state of Georgia. As a result of her pursuit to legalize astrology, Maxine became America's first licensed astrologer. Subsequently, Maxine had a bill introduced into the Georgia General Assembly to legalize astrology in the city of Atlanta. In 1970, the bill was passed and signed into law by then Governor Lester Maddox. This historic event made Atlanta the first city in the country to license the practice of astrology. Phenomenal. She's also been CNN's on-air astrologer for the first 2 years after the cable news network's inaugural debut. She was subsequently interviewed as a guest on The Larry King Show and featured on all the major networks at the time. And she's been helping whole countries. How you are able to do that is just amazing. So due to Maxine's international recognition, the nation of Hungary contacted her shortly after the fall of its communist regime in 1989 and asked her to do a forecast for the country. This extraordinary reading was broadcast live over Hungary's only radio station in Budapest and then published in the country's leading newspaper.
Only newspaper. Only poor people.
I mean, this is amazing. Thank you, Maxine, for being here.
My pleasure. My pleasure, Arlene.
So we have been good friends for, I moved to Atlanta with my third when she was just born. So she's 13 now. So over a decade. And I want to tell you a little story about how I met Maxine. So originally, you know what, I was never really into astrology because I thought, if things were fated or, I couldn't be bothered with all of that. And I just wanted to live my life. But Maxine came and taught a class in Roswell, and it was how to read your own astrology chart. So I wasn't going to just anybody. I was going to go to myself and look in the stars with my chart in my hand and be able to interpret it for myself. And then I would know if it was true or not. And in that first class, I have to tell you, Maxine, I started getting tears in my eyes because I had no idea that it was written in the stars somehow. And I was reading these really intimate details about myself that I felt that the inner workings of me that no one else could have known. And the fact that the universe knew me before I was born was somehow really comforting to me because I felt like no matter what anyone's been through, what I had gone through. I mean, we all have like our ups and downs in lives, even the little things, that it somehow had more meaning.
Well, that is a beautiful description of what astrology can do. And it's really good for everyday problems to solve. to at least show you what's going on, what's really going on.
Mhm.
So, thank you. That can't wait to hear what I'm going to say.
Well, I mean, how do you feel that it could help people,
Oh,
especially people watching here with the multidimensional MD, and we're talking about all these various aspects of our being. And so, having known you for so many years, it has become more obvious to me. But I still remember, okay, there was a time where I had no idea what astrology was about, and I wasn't sure how it was going to help me. And so I was just kind of sticking my toe into it and like dipping. I was like, let me just check this world out and see what it has to offer. So, I mean, how did you get into it, and what like, how has that helped you in your life, and how has that helped, people that you've
okay.
done
Yes.
readings for?
Well, first of all, I was absolutely opposed to astrology for years, and I moved to Atlanta, and I was on a gorgeous houseboat on Lake Lanier, where I met a lady who was much older than I was, who told me all about myself just based on my sun sign, and I thought, wow, she really knows me. So I went to the grocery store and they had these little booklets that say this is your forecast, for the year. And so I picked up the book and I read
Mhm,
it. Now I had moved from Miami where I had taught high school and I did not have a check.
mhm,
I mean, no money was coming in. And so I found part-time work. And in that little booklet, it said, on the 18th of August, all your financial problems will be resolved. They said everything but comma Maxine, because on the 18th of the month, I got my $800 retirement check from Dade County, Florida. In 1966, when I came to Atlanta, $800 was like $8,000. And I thought, where's that little book? And I found out that there was a lovely lady um, teaching astrology here in Atlanta. I studied it for several years. And as I was studying the first 2 years, I thought, I want to legalize astrology because they're insulting this art, this science, because it's a combination of art and science, the mundane and the spiritual.
mhm.
And of course, at the time, I was very mundane. Now, what I do with people is help them see how glorious they are. You can look at the chart and say, oh, Saturn made me do that. Saturn didn't make you do that. Saturn is reflecting what you chose to do. Now, let me help you work with Saturn
Mhm.
on a spiritual level. And people leave in awe of themselves when they have a reading with me because I tell them how great they are. And all of my books, I have 9 books that I've written, all of them encourage you to see how wonderful you are. So, how does that help you on planet Earth? It gives you a new life. It
Mhm.
helps you deal with your everyday situations. It helps you see how wonderful you are. And when you love you, everybody loves you. Now, are you going to feel that way every moment? No, especially here in Atlanta. We know what traffic is like.
Mhm.
Um, when you're driving down 285 and you have the urge to kill,
Mhm.
no, you're not coming from love. However, you can find an alternate route and find that you are loving more and more and more. And you wonder, what happened to me? You saw your true self. And that's what I help people do is see their true, wonderful selves.
So it's not necessarily faded. It's
Not at all.
it's and so what I've understand from you is that, and what I've learned like over the years just looking at my own chart is that it helps you understand your constitution. It helps you to understand like what your gifts are, and maybe those hidden gifts. So like things that feel like weaknesses, or like to me are just things that could be developed and are actually like hidden strengths. And so to help elevate that to your consciousness so that you can really work and play with who you are, and help bring that, express that into the
Ye-
world. So it's not about fate, it's about, let me understand myself.
Yes, it's all about understanding yourself and understanding how great you are, because there is a society will tell you everything that's wrong with you,
Mhm.
and I'm here to tell you, let me tell you what's right with you based on your birth chart. And astrology students know that the planets interact with each other astrologically. And they say, well, what about that? I have Mars squared Saturn. Well, so what? Let me tell you about Mars squared Saturn and what you can do to use it on its highest level. And then I have met people who have lived a long time and their birth chart is functioning differently
Hmm.
because they understood themselves.
Mm.
I mean, when I hear the song, the hymn, How Great Thou Art, of course, we're talking about God, but how great thou art, how great thou art. So,
Mhm.
and it has nothing to do with religion. It
Mhm.
has to do with the true essence of you.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it's in the Bible, it says, and God put the stars in the heavens for signs.
Mhm.
That sign is not turn right at the light
Yeah.
and you'll be at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Um, it's, I'm honored to be able to to read the signs.
And I feel like sometimes we start to like see those signs when big things happen, but we don't have to rely on like big things happening. Like I just think about like when my dad crossed over, and then the morning afterwards, um, even my daughter, she said, "Mommy, did you see the sun? Did you see the sunrise?" I was like, "No, I hadn't been down yet." And then my siblings too, who don't live in the same state as me, they live on the other side of the country, they said the same thing. They were like talking about the sunrise and sunset. They're like, "There's something different about it." And they're like, "We know it has to do with our dad."
Of
Like
course.
which was I mean, looking at what you're talking about, those signs in the heavens. And so that was really meaningful to see the light, and that had something meaningful to us. But even, I mean, thinking about like health and medicine, I just think about the moon and its reflection of the sun, our closest star, and how that influences our tides, that creates the tides, and also has to do with hormones and that monthly cycle. So we know even medically that there is a big influence um, in the maternity wards, the delivery, labor and delivery. We know that there tend to be like more births
Right.
under the full moon, or a long time ago, people used to be able to plead lunacy if they were not acting appropriately. So there's something that is we understand kind of in our culture and in health and medicine, but we don't necessarily talk about it directly. Like I've never had a class on hormones that address the stars or the moon or the tide. But I mean, they do for women. There's this monthly cycle. What does that mean? What does that mean before that? What does that mean after that? So there's actually this depth of untapped knowledge that we could potentially access.
Absolutely. And there is a branch of astrology called medical astrology.
Hmm.
Now, it still says the planet brings this or the sun brings that. The sun and any other planet, they are reflecting what's going on in your life. That's the miracle, because everybody's chart is different. And
even twins,
especially, they're diametrically opposed. Okay? There's always one that was born earlier. And brava to the mom that gives birth to twins that are born less than 10 minutes apart. That girl is working. You know, it tells you everything. And it depends on where the astrologer comes from, emotionally, spiritually, as to what kind of information you'll be able to discuss with the astrologer. And my mission is to empower people to empower themselves. And so when somebody leaves a reading with me after I've sent them their video, they tell me they see themselves differently, and they're very, very grateful, because otherwise, as you asked, am I fated to do this? No, you are not fated to. You are going to use the planets, but depending on where your spiritual and emotional state happen to be, they will be either focused on very mundane, negative things, or you can use them on the highest level possible.
So it tells you about yourself on all these dimensional aspects.
Absolutely. And there is one of the planets, Pluto, is total transformation. Out with the old, in with the new. And it is, at the time of this video, changing signs and moving from Capricorn, serious, traditional, into Aquarius, AI, electronics, new age, truly new age, and not the woo-woo stuff, the essence of what is changing in our world. I mean, the world is in an upheaval. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. There is a tipping point, and I'm working with people who are part of that tipping point. So in our time together, right here, in a couple of weeks, we're going to lift the energy, because I always say there is nothing wrong with you. Deal with it, meaning there's nothing wrong with you. You have the choice as to how you're going to live that chart, on what level you're going to live that chart, and you'll see your own chart. And that's not always easy to do, which is why I'm not doing it on a video and just sending it in. We're going to have a wonderful time, because we're going to laugh, we're going to ask questions, and we're going to have aha moments all over the place, because there's no limit.
Yeah. We're going to be doing this class with School of Stillness, where everyone is a healer. So we're giving everyone an opportunity to learn more about themselves, or if you wanted to do it for someone in your family, that would be incredible. So we're going to have that on Saturday, December 14th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we're going to have in-person and virtual options. We're going to keep this class relatively small to allow for some feedback, but it is an amazing course. And I think about, like, I've had readings for all of my kids, and that really helps me as a mom. And I know that when people come to see me as a cranial osteopath and integrative physician, so I can feel their essence and that the constitution and what's uniquely them, and it's always absolutely amazing. And so when parents will bring their babies in, then I'll be able to feel that. But here is like another way to understand yourself, understand your kids, understand your loved ones, and to be able to really work with your gifts and express yourself more fully in the world, because there's this inner light within all of us, because we we have this divine light with us. We are all made, literally made out of stardust. There's carbon and hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, the CHNOPS, acronym of what the stars are made out of. We are made out of those same elements. That is like life on Earth. So if we can understand our relationship to the heavens, to the stars, and that grand reflection back at us, we're basically looking in the mirror. But think about it. When you're looking in a mirror, the mirror is not controlling you. You get to move around. You get to see, change what you see in the mirror, but you still have that essence of yourself, but you have a lot that you can work with.
Or you can look at the mirror for what's wrong with yourself. Oh my God, why am I wearing this blouse? It's terrible. Or you can say, wow, this is just great. In other words, you are free to function on any level you choose. And that is not necessarily known by all astrologers. I'm not.
Which is why I love working with you, because your approach is out of love and it's not fear-based.
Definitely. Definitely.
And that's how we do things here in my practice and with School of Stillness, because we can access so much more.
Yeah.
I mean, it's infinite. It's infinite access when you're expressing through love rather than through fear.
Yes.
Fear makes us sort of close down, and love makes us expand. And
love is, period. Love is. And when you feel it, you have accessed your own magic.
Yeah. And gosh, I can think of so many examples here, and I was thinking earlier this week, it's like there is no darkness. There is only light, because if you shine light in the darkness, it's no longer dark.
Right.
But you can't put dark in the light, and the dark still exists.
Right.
So, yeah, and understanding that and what that means. And so when we're looking at the stars, we're actually helping ourselves understand our own light.
Oh,
because you're literally looking at the light.
Beautifully put. Beautifully put. True. I'm so accustomed to doing this. I'm hearing you describe it from the way you're looking at it. I'm thinking, gee, I want to go to that workshop.
Well, and then also, I'm just thinking about how you've described things like eclipses, where it feels like there's this shadow. It feels like there's a darkness, but it lets us go inward and rediscover that light all over again.
Mm-hmm.
So even though there's trials and tribulations, it's like, no, but we can, if we dig deeper inwards and we rediscover that light, then we grow through it, we expand even more. And so we have to grow. One of my daughters actually said to me, she's like, well, Mommy, you have to have a little bit of fear to feel happy. And I was like, and wondering what she meant. But it reminded me of something I say, and I wrote in my book, is you don't, unless you face your fears, you don't know what you're capable of. And that's what I could hear her saying, because when all the activities that they do and their adventures, it takes something out of you. It takes some self-motivation. It takes you have to learn something new. So learning something new there's that little bit of discomfort because it's new.
Yes.
But she's like, but you'll never have true happiness unless you face that, which she said it so simply that, and I was like, yeah, that's right.
We're
not meant to be afraid, but we actually have to look at our fears to know what we're capable of.
Well, and I agree, and I agree with every word you're saying. And what a sharp kid.
And so I feel like looking at the stars helps us do both.
Yes.
We can see already, it's like a self-hug of like, oh my gosh, I am good at those things. Like, I was born with that. That's my natural self, because that's what I love to do. And I was meant to do that. I was literally born to do whatever that thing that's fun for you, that makes you feel alive.
Well, I want to also comment on my specialty. We have the sun, the moon, Saturn, and Pluto. These are the planets that rule our programming, our movie of life. And they can be really what blocks us. I will help everybody see what messages mommy gave, daddy gave, your heritage gave, the matriarch.
So you can go into the generational and
Yes, and
patterns.
that's what I love to do with people, because when they see it, all they have to do is let it go
Yeah.
on the
And
exhale.
that understanding actually is so healing, because I talk about that with people a lot. Sometimes when things are feeling really intense, it's because there is this generational contribution to it. So if it feels bigger than you, it might be. And once you understand that, it helps to like release that. It's like, oh, I thought it was all me. It is, but it isn't. There's so much else coming through, but it only takes one person to shift any generational pattern, any generational energy. So you don't ever have to feel like you're stuck with it.
Absolutely.
It's just the cards you were dealt with, and then it's like, what do you want to do with it?
Well, remember, you created your chart. You weren't handed, okay, this is for you. No, I want that one. No, you have to take this one. You create your own reality even prior to incarnating, and it's visible in the birth chart. And that's what I'm going to help everybody see and understand where the person, not the person whose chart it is, where mommy came from, where daddy came from, all of those. And when you understand them, you can forgive, because it's your life. I like to say to my students, it's your movie.
Mm-hmm.
You can change it.
Mm-hmm.
It's your TV show. Tune the channel a little better.
Yeah.
A little bit better.
Yes.
I mean, so the beauty of a simple birth chart is that you see why you do it, who gave you the messages, and you forgive them because they did the best they know how, just like you're doing the best you know how. And so forgiving yourself is a huge part of this, and you just let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the transformation takes place, because you see, it's just a movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the true essence of who you are is there. That's all that's left. And when you fall in love with yourself, the world falls in love with you. So I'm just going to help you fall in love with yourself. That's all.
I know we are doing that over and over and over again. So no matter where you are in your own journey, I mean, we are all in this like shared humanity. So I feel I talk to people that feel that they're actually like really enlightened already, and sometimes they get down on themselves that, oh, I should be able to handle this better because I know these things. And it doesn't mean, like, for myself, it doesn't mean that I don't have ups and downs too, because I'm like, yeah, we talk about these things all the time. Yeah, we know these things. And, but we have to navigate it for ourselves too. But that's part of the fun of the practice. And I feel like, you know, my patients and the people I talk to, and just talking to you, Maxine, and in this world, it does start to become more fun as you get to know yourself at this depth. So even what feels like stumbling blocks will become stepping stones for you in your life. And that is the beauty of having this heads up from astrology. It's like a major heads up. So if you would like to join us, this class is going to be on Saturday, December 14th, 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. Again, we have virtual and in-person options, and this is with School of Stillness, where everyone is a healer. You can find more information about that on my website, which is allworldshealth.com. Go to the events page. You can also connect with me on Instagram at All Worlds Health, on Facebook, All Worlds Health and Pediatrics. Also sign up for my e-love letters. I send out about once a week from my website, allworldshealth.com. And Maxine, would you like to share how they could contact you?
Oh, certainly. My website is MaxineTaylor.com. I chose that title because I could remember my name. MaxineTaylor.com. And from my website, excuse me, you can email me, or you can just type in starmax@bellsouth.net. And I'll be glad to talk with you. We are meant to connect if you feel led. Please don't hesitate to contact me. I'll be glad to talk with you and answer your questions about how this wonderful workshop that Arlene has orchestrated can help you.
Thank you, Maxine. And this is for people of all backgrounds. This is so loving. And again, that's one of the best reasons I love to work with you. And so this Maxine Taylor, she is a living legend. Who else are you going to meet with over 50 years of experience in astrology? So thank you, Dr. Gatos. He says, hi, Maxine. Hi, Arlene. You state the obvious and bring it to the light. This was great.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you, everyone. If you have any comments, then please leave them below. We will get back to you as we can, and share this with anyone that you think that could benefit from it. Like and subscribe. Lots of love to all of you. We believe in you, so we hope that you believe in you too. Take care. We will see you next time.
I was